Hi there, I'm Nancy Nash with Starfish Strength, and I love using all sorts of different equipment to stay in shape. Today, I want to show you how to get a full body workout that will build strength, muscle tone, balance, and endurance using just a resistance band and a door anchor. So for our workout today, I'll need a resistance band and a door anchor, and I also need a sturdy door. So just test this out before you get going. Make sure that your setup works to support your body weight in all of these exercises. You'll also want to make sure you have enough standing space to make a snow angel. And for one of these exercises, we're going to utilize an exercise mat because we're going to lay it on the floor. So if you don't have an exercise mat, a towel will do just fine. And as always, make sure you've got your water handy too. We're going to start off with a bicep curl. So I'm going to hold one handle in each hand and I'm going to step my feet onto the band so that I've got my arches covering the band. And I want to just make sure I've got an even amount left to right so that I'm not making one arm work harder. I'm going to draw my belly in, slightly bend my knees, and I can push my butt back a little bit if I need to. So keeping the elbows towards the front of the rib cage, I'm going to start to do those curls. So I do want to make sure that my elbows don't start sliding back behind the rib cage. That will result in me feeling this unkindly in the shoulders instead of really training the core, legs, and biceps. And yes, we are training the legs in this as well. You should really feel the glutes turning on. You should feel the quads turning on just a little bit if you're in the right position. And if you're not sure you're in the right position, go ahead and check your back out in the mirror. I want to make sure that I really have the belly drawn in so I'm kind of flattening that lower back area, tucking the butt under, and that will ensure that I can use my abs and my glutes to help with this stability so I don't feel that need to start bending over. And then of course, you're going to feel this mightily in the biceps. You might also feel this in that eccentric lower in the triceps. So try to focus on making these reps 1 second up and 1 second down. So by controlling this, I'm really asking my body to adapt. I'm asking it to get stronger rather than just mindlessly going through these as quickly as I possibly can using momentum. Also, make sure you're thinking about having some space between the elbows and the rib cage. If I just hug my elbows really close to my rib cage, that really doesn't set my shoulders up to move properly, and honestly, it doesn't set up my wrists and elbows with a whole lot of space either. So just try to keep a little space between your elbows and your rib cage the entire time. Nice work, let's move on. So for the rest of this workout, I'm going to want the band anchored at the bottom of the door. So I'm actually going to slide the anchor in so that it's right below my door hinge. Some doors, it's better to have it above the door hinge, depending on how much of a gap you have between the doorway and the door. So see what works best for your door. And then once it's secure, I'm going to slide the band through so that I've got an even amount on each side. So I'm going to start by facing my anchor point. I'm going to step back until I can feel that band trying to pull me forward. So I'm going to draw the belly in. I'm going to keep my weight on one foot and step the other foot back. So my weight's on that forward foot. I'm trying to keep the weight more into the balls of my feet. And then I'm going to do a row. And now I'm going to step together using that front leg and switch sides. So drawing the belly in, keep the weight on that front leg, really squeezing the quads, squeezing the glutes. And then the whole time I'm doing this exercise, I also want to think about keeping the ankles, knees, and hips equidistant. So I don't want to let the knees start buckling in towards one another. That's not going to feel good to them. And it's going to be difficult for me to train the leg muscles properly. So let's talk about what my chest is doing. I want to make sure that I'm not looking down towards the floor. I'm looking at that imaginary horizon line right in front of my nose, and that will help me keep my chest lifted. And I'm also going to focus on pulling the shoulder blades back and down. So even though technically technically I'm pulling up, I can still roll my shoulder blades like a rear shoulder roll rather than just hiking them up to my ears. So make sure that they go through that full range of motion. It's kind of like the shoulder blades are pinching together. And then as you reach forward, the shoulder blades are going to come back up. So as I pull, the shoulder blades are coming down and together. And then as I reach forward, they're spreading apart and the shoulder blades are coming up. I would aim for a lunge length that's about 2 to 3 of your own foot lengths. And then from there, I'm going to focus on trying to get deeper into that lunge as I get stronger with this. In the beginning, if you can just focus on keeping your body weight on that front leg and using that back leg like a kickstand, that's a really good habit for starting to form the single leg strength that you need to do this in all sorts of other lunges. And then don't forget that core engagement. So before I step back, I really want to draw the belly in and just slightly squeeze the glutes. And that will help me with that alignment, help me keep my chest up. The lower abs and the glutes together are really important in balance. Nice work. Let yourself try one more if you've got it in you. All right, we're going to move on to our next exercise. So please make sure you let yourself grab water at any point that you need to. So next I'm going to turn so that my back is facing the anchor point and I'm going to straddle the band. So I still want to make sure I've got an even amount on each side and I'm going to place the backs of the hands against the front of the thighs. So go ahead and let yourself take a little more resistance, stepping forward till you feel like it's trying to pull you back a little bit. We're going to step the feet a little wider than hip width. I'm going to draw the belly in and pull my shoulders back throughout this entire exercise. Push the hips back and then push through the balls of the feet to come up. So again, drawing the belly in, pushing the hips back, and then pushing through the balls of the feet to come up. So you should feel this a lot in the back of your legs and your glutes. This is similar to a deadlift or a kettlebell swing, making sure that you keep the backs of the hands on the front of the thighs. I'm going to draw my belly in and then push back and then really drive through the balls of the feet, squeezing the glutes to come up. Now, what I don't want to do is hunch over or start pulling with the arms. I want to make sure that my back stays flat throughout this entire exercise. So hopefully by the end, you are feeling this in the middle of your back. And if you're not today, you probably will tomorrow. But make sure that you let yourself hinge from the waist before you bend the knees so that you really get that training in the entire backside of the body. The calves are working, the hamstrings, the glutes, the lats, the rear part of my shoulders. So I shouldn't have any pain in the front of my shoulders. I want to make sure my feet are nice and straight and that I'm not letting the knees cave in towards one another so I can really feel that training in the leg muscles. So kind of play with that level of resistance, stepping a little closer to the door or stepping further from the door because we're all a little bit different. This might be easy for your dominant leg and difficult for your less dominant leg. So always program yourself for the less dominant leg. Try to not outpace it. We're going to try to work towards equilibrium because that's actually going to help your strength potential. You're going to be able to move more weight more efficiently if you get yourself a little bit closer to equilibrium. I also liken this exercise to going in the oven because you basically can't put your knees in the oven, right? So they can't jump past your toes. You can't bend the knees first. You have to push the hips back. So if that analogy helps you, please use that. Nice job. We're going to do one more exercise. So for this exercise, I'm going to come down to the floor and I'm going to need my mat or my towel. I'm going to lay all the way down onto my back. And I want to make sure that I've got enough room to reach my arms overhead and keep my legs straight. So as far as your distance from the door goes, use the space you have. This is a little bit of a small room, so I'm going to modify this slightly. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to bring my feet onto the floor so that I can focus on bringing my lower back down to the floor, drawing the abs in. And then I'm going to take one handle in each hand and pull the handles down by my sides so that my shoulder blades are down, so they're not up by my ears. So at this point, I should feel a lot of tension on my back, in the back of my arms, and then hopefully you can feel it in your abs as well if you really have that belly pulled in. So let's do the full version of this first. I'm going to lift both legs, keeping the belly drawn in, trying to keep those legs as straight as I can with the ankles right above my hips. I'm going to reach back over as I lower one leg and then pull back over and switch sides. So I'm only lowering that leg so far as I can keep my back flat on the floor. So if you immediately notice that your back comes off the floor, that is not what we want to see here. So if that's just a little bit of a lower, that is a-okay. And stick with this because you will begin to get stronger. But if this feels like way too much to start with, I'm going to show you the single leg version of this. So for the modified version of this, I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to start with my feet on the floor with my knees bent, pull the band over so I've got my hands down by my hips, draw my belly in, and we're just going to raise one leg. I'm going to lift and lower this leg as I move my arms. So keeping the belly drawn in, I'm going to reach overhead and lower the leg. And if my back starts to come off the ground, or just before it starts to come off the ground, I'll lift the leg back up. So I'm going to see how many I can do on my less dominant side before going to my dominant side. I should feel the stretch in the hamstrings as well as that work in the front of the thigh and the front of the hip and the lower abs to lift that leg back up. Legs are heavy business, so this is not easy. Let yourself try that on the other side. So switching legs, I'm going to draw my belly in, raise the ankle right above the hip, and control the lower down as I do that reach overhead. You may find that you have more abdominal strength on one side than the other. That is not uncommon either. So focusing on drawing the belly in before I lower the leg will really help me make sure that I'm bracing the core and I'm making my abs in my back together stronger throughout this entire exercise. So if you're doing that 2-leg version and you need more resistance, you can actually grip the band so it's a little bit closer to the anchor point. I'm going to grab the band overhead, really draw my belly in tight, and then I'm going to do that reach overhead as I lower one heel, making sure my back doesn't come off the floor, raising the leg with the strength of my quads and hips, and then switching sides. Try to keep your feet straight if you can. We're trying to train these muscles in anatomical alignment. So we'll have strength in stability, not just in our workouts, but in our day-to-day lives where we're lifting and moving all sorts of things. And then really focus on what the shoulders are doing. So as I pull over and pull the hands down by my sides, I should notice that the shoulder blades come down and the tension increases on my back, underneath my shoulder blades, in the back of my arms. And as I reach overhead, that tension is going to release from the back, but I'll feel a stretch in the triceps. I'll feel this in the upper abs, and my shoulder blades will rise back up. So whatever level of resistance you're using in the band, just make sure that your shoulders can go through that range of motion, pulling all the way down as I pull the hands down by my hips, and then let the shoulders rise all the way up as you reach overhead. All right, I hope your abs are on fire, but if not, you'll probably feel this in the abs tomorrow. Try 1 or 2 more, just focusing on all the elements of form that you remember. Nice job. Thanks so much for making time to exercise with me today. I hope you take away some tips that help you not only in your workouts, but in your daily movement. If you're looking for more workouts, exercises, healthy recipes, or other healthy lifestyle tips, please check out the rest of my YouTube channel. And in the meantime, I look forward to continuing this journey with you. I'll see you in the next video.
Do you want to help me? Want to help me? Can you help me work out? Can you help me work out?
Yeah.
Will you help me work out?
Aw. Sorry. Did I make an earthquake by laughing? Did I make an earthquake by laughing? You're so good. Good boy.